Hey YouTube, Kiritwig here, bringing you all an update to my Synchron Yu-Gi-Oh deck profile for post the 2024 Megatins. Wanted to update this deck. It's a very similar situation to the Harpy Ladies deck. Just seeing the new alternate artwork for tuning made me re-look at this deck, and with also some reprinted cards, including Revolution Synchron, being a little more affordable now for the deck, and also Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon, I figured an update was due for this deck since the changes from the last one, also with Baron de Fleur and Borreload Savage Dragon also being put on the ban list. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the tuner monsters, we're running 3 copies of Junk Synchron. I would say it's one of the more important tuners in the deck. When it's normal summon, you can target a level 2 or lower monster in your graveyard, special summon that target in defense, but its effects are negated. You have a 1-card, level 5 Synchro summon when you use Junk Converter for this card's setup. So very, very useful for that initial setup, because then you can use this card to go into cards like Junk Warrior, or your Junk Speeder, or even your Excel Synchron. You have all these options available to you thanks to just this one level 3 tuner. We're also running 3 copies of Assault Synchron. With this card during your main phase, you can special summon this card from your hand, then take 700 damage. Also, while it's face up in the monster zone, you cannot special summon from the X deck except for Synchro monsters. If a face up dragon Synchro monster you control is tributed or banished except during the damage step, you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target one of those monsters and special summon it. So giving you back resources to the field, but the main play with this card is obviously just the easy special summon onto the field for the cost of just 700 life points. For some of the lower numbers for the tuners, 2 copies of Stardust Synchron. If this card's in your hand or graveyard, you can tribute 1 monster, special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the X deck for the rest of this turn, except for Synchro monsters. If it's normal or special summon, you can add 1 spell or trap from your deck to your hand that specifically lists Stardust Dragon in its text. You can only use each effect of Stardust Synchron once per turn. So while we have some specifics for these cards, you have some search options available to you depending on the cards you may want to search, but it's also a level 4 tuner, so it could be one of the tuners summoned out for the varying levels that we need for Junk Synchron also. And also 2 copies of Revolution Synchron. As I said, this card was recently reprinted in the 2024 Megatins. If you Synchro summon a Power Tool monster or a level 7 or 8 Dragon monster, if this card's in your hand, can also be used as material. You can use this effect of Revolution Synchron once per turn. If you control a level 7 or higher Synchro monster while this card's in your graveyard, you can send the top card of your deck to the graveyard to special summon this card, and its level becomes 1. You can only use this effect of Revolution Synchron once per duel, but having a level 3 tuner to use in your hand means if we set up the level 5 Synchro with our Junk Synchron play, and this card is in our hand, we can then use this card for the level 8 Synchro play we may want to go into also. And then for the 1-ofs for the tuner, 1 copy of Jet Synchron and 1 copy of Wheel Synchron. If you control it, if this card you control is used as synchro material, you can treat it as a non-tuner. That is great for Wheel Synchron since we have plenty of tuners in the deck. And also, you can only use this effect of Wheel Synchron once per turn. During your main phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon 1 level 4 or lower monster. Also, you cannot special summon from the X deck for the rest of this turn, except for synchro monsters. And then you can banish this card from your graveyard to target a synchro monster and reduce its level up to 4, giving you more of an increase in setup depending on the synchro you want to go for. With Gen Synchron having a special summon option from the graveyard just by using your option to send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard and then use this card and banish it when it leaves the field. For our non-tuners, we run 3 copies of Junk Converter. You can discard this card in 1 tuner to add 1 Synchron monster from your deck to your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can target a tuner in your graveyard and special summon it in defense. So if you go for the level 5 synchro play, if you used your Junk Synchron, you can summon that card back into the field, and then there is your level 8 synchro play using your Junk Converter. And also 3 copies of Doppel Warrior. When a monster is special summoned from the graveyard, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can special summon 2 Doppel tokens to the field in attack position, giving you more token resources to use, but you can easily summon Doppel Warrior off of cards like Junk Synchron once they summon back their non-tuner from the graveyard to the field also. With the last of our Synchron engine being 1 copy of Stardust Trail. It works really, really well for the graveyard setup when we use our Stardust Illumination, which we can also search off of our Stardust Synchron. And then also with this card, you can special summon it from the graveyard, but banish it when it leaves the field. If a Warrior Synchron or Stardust Synchro monster is synchro summon using this card's material, you can special summon 1 Stardust token to the field. So it's just token extension, just like the Doppel Warrior. Having those extra token resources on the field is a big part of why I like the non-tuners we run, to keep those resources going for more and more synchro plays. And then the rest of the main deck monsters, I run 2 copies of Ghost Mourner, Moonlit Chill, and 2 Effect Bearer. I run these hand traps essentially just for the fact that they are level 1 and 3 tuners, so adjustable if we need them for any other synchro plays. For the spells, I sadly still only have one copy of this awesome new art for tuning. I hopefully by the next update to this deck will have 3 copies. It definitely looks awesome with Junk Synchron being on the art for it. You add 1 Synchron tuner from your deck to your hand, then send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. So having a majority of search for the tuners that I mentioned before, depending on whichever one you want, and then sending the top card of your deck to the graveyard could potentially set up other cards for you to use, but the main play with this card is obviously just the tuner search for the specific one that you may need. Also, the 3 copies of Synchro Overtake. You reveal 1 Synchro monster in your X deck, choose one of the Synchro heroes whose name is listed on that card, add it to your hand, or special summon it from the deck or graveyard, and you can have special summon from the X deck for the rest of this turn, except for Synchro monsters. So Junk Warrior in our X deck is mostly just for this card, to reveal it and add Junk Synchron from our deck to our hand. So you can also summon it from the graveyard, but once again, this is just to grab that resource for us to use. And then I also run 2 copies of On Your Mark, Get Set, Duel. When it's activated, if you control no other cards, you can add 1 Synchron monster from your deck to your hand. And once per turn during your standby phase, you can play 1 signal counter on this card, and you can remove 2 from this card to send this face-up card to the graveyard to draw 2 cards, and then send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard. You can activate On Your Mark, Get Set per Duel per turn. So with this card, you have a search if you control no other cards, and then basically almost like using your speed counters in a speed duel to be able to then draw additional cards also. For the 1-ofs for the spells, running 1 copy of Stardust Illumination, you send 1 Stardust monster from your deck to the graveyard, or if you control Stardust Dragon or Synchro monster that mentions it, special summon it instead. But you can banish this card from your graveyard, target a Stardust monster you control, increase or decrease its level by 1 until the end of this turn. Setup, but also search depending on the Stardust card we want to send to the graveyard, and then also the additional setup for some other cards as well. 1 Synchro Chase for more resource grab as well, and being able to have it so your opponent can activate cards in response to our plays. The 1 Monster Reborn, along with the 1 Reinforcements of the Army, the 1 for 1, and the 1 Foolish Burial to finish off the spell lineup. And then for the traps, I run the 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. If you didn't want to run this card, you could try running Ash Blossom instead to stick more for the Monster Tuner lineup for the extra resources to use for it. But for our extra deck, we're running the 1 copy of Junk Warrior. Once again, this is mostly just in here, so we have the reveal for Synchro Overtake to then be able to use for the summon of our monster. We also run the 1 Junk Berserker, which has Junk Synchron also, so it could be a reveal off of the card as well. This is just a tech favorite level 7 Synchro monster. I love this card, but if you wanted to, you could take this card out for Bysteel, Dispatter, or Chaos Angel. They're higher level monsters that were available in the new tins, just a little more difficult to pull, but if you have them and you want to run them in the deck, this could be the spot to take them out for, or the other spot being our Junk Destroyer, another destruction play just for a level 8 Synchro to be able to summon on the field, the 1 Junk Speeder to get our resources on the field for us using the many different tuners off of its special summon, and then also the 1 Excel Synchron, the 1 TG Hyper Librarian, the 1 Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon. With since our Baron de Fleur is banned, we go into Satellite Warrior now as a level 10 option for more destruction on the turn we make it for our opponent. And then also the 1 copy of Stardust Dragon to be able to summon off of our Excel Synchro Stardust Dragon as well. The 1 Herald of the Arclight along with the 1 Morchronic Earfawn for some level 4 Synchro options to use with our Junk Synchron and our level 1 tuners we make. And the 1 Shooting Riser Dragon and the 1 Stardust Charge Warrior for lower level Synchro options, once again, with the last of our Synchros being the 1 copy of Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon and also the 1 Psyframe Lord Omega. I really like both of these as level 8 options when we summon out our Junk Warrior and then use the Junk Converter to summon our Junk Synchron back to the field, and better level 8 options to then go into. But that is it. As for some of the combos that we can go for in the deck, as I mentioned before, if you have your Junk Converter, it, along with just 1 other tuner in your hand, which we run plenty of, can be a discard send from your hand to the graveyard to grab your Junk Synchron, and then you can normal summon out your Junk Synchron, activate its effect to summon back the Junk Converter, using the effect to then go for a level 5 Synchro play. And with that, the simple play would be to summon out your Junk Warrior. This would activate the effect, grabbing you your Junk Synchron back from the graveyard thanks to your Junk Converter. And then you can go for the level 8 Synchro play. And as I mentioned, you can use that to summon out your Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, since it just needs a tuner and a non-tuner Synchro monster, so you meet the requirements that easily. With just a 1-card combo play, you have 1 of your negates on the field, ready to go. If you choose the other route and go for your Junk Speeder, you can place this card in the extra monster zone. If it's Synchro Summon, you can can special summon as many Synchron tuners as possible at different levels from your deck in defense. So with this, you have a level 3, a level 4, a level 2, a level 1 if you didn't use your Jet Synchron off of that discard as well. So with that, and then the final one being your level 5, getting a full field of tuners for you then to be able to use as additional resources with the non-tuner in your extra monster zone. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And Kira, Twig out.